Hey guys, Sean here. So today we're going to talk about the split changes. I think the map plays out really well now. I like the changes. I think it's going to play a lot better. I think a lot of you guys are going to be happy with these changes. It doesn't seem like a lot. So people were kind of like, is that all? But let me go ahead and describe the changes with the images that kind of show the side-by-side comparisons. This is A main. This is the previous iteration of A main. Typically what ended up happening was you would take this fight sometimes, and while it was like 50-50 against rifles, a lot of times operas would peak ramp and just destroy you because they have a very easy line to hold. This would get one-wayed by omens, potential breach fault lines. Astras would smoke star right behind it. Now we have a little bit of freedom, a little bit of opening. Now attackers can peek from multiple elevations is the key change here, right? You can peek from down low and up top. That allows you to take this fight a lot better with this A ramp player, right? The A ramp player can't just double you if you swing to fight them anymore. It seems like the devs want this fight, or at very least this opening engagement, to feel attacker sided. Surely you can still get smoked off here. You can still probably get fault line through this. You can still get util dumped, but you can always come back to this fight and have these multiple elevations and win this fight even in the mid round or late round. It's not going to be as dominantly contested by defenders, particularly oppers, as it was in the prior iteration of split. Going into the next image, we're just going to keep moving along them because I'll hop in game right after these. So this is a heaven. This was my biggest complaint of the old version of split. It created an insane amount of variance. I hated it. I complained about this since beta, and the reason why is because when you come up over here by A ramps, what you have to deal with is what seems like a million different elevations. You never knew where to put your crosshair. You never knew which person was going to be peeking you and which height they were going to be holding from, right? They could be in any of these places, and your crosshair is just going up and down. It's bobbing all over the place. You have no idea where to put it. And of course, this is a defender-sided situation. You know, they can hold all of these off angles or none of them. There's so many places for you to hold on split, and this made it insanely difficult because heaven was something that you should kind of fight for on split. It's hard to hold the sites in post plants. They clean this up so much by just removing those stairs, pushing them over to the right, getting rid of this jump up box over here. And now when you approach this, whether it be through the ropes or up A ramps, this is so much cleaner for your fights and will make things so much better coming through this or flanking through it in the mid round. Going into the A site now. This is the previous version of split, and what I want to draw attention to is this railing right here along with the planter. Let's just switch the image, check out what the changes are, and would you look at that? The rafter is gone and the planter has been raised. So a problem on the old split, going back to this previous image, you would have people playing this in post plants, right? So imagine this being an attacker in a post plant. They would take fights, you know, over in this area. They might peek screens, but when they peek screens, their head can be seen over this planter because screens is slightly elevated. So you could see the head of this person. And same thing in reverse for a defender playing here, right? Their head could be seen if they were to stand up, particularly Sage with the ponytail. So that eliminates that. The rafter removal will help so much for A execs. An annoying thing about this map was when you would approach A, a lot of times you would be coming through Omen one ways or an Astra Smoke Star combo right here, and you would end up in this scenario where you're turning this, and again, the double elevations, like you just have no idea where to put your crosshair. You're just gambling, and you don't have enough utility to flush all of this out because the map is already hard to take spots in anyway. This will help open up things for just A takes in a significant way. This is like a smaller change in my opinion, right? Something I used to do a lot on split as Omen is I would TP across from A main down here onto this. You can even fake TP obviously, and put a lot of pressure on, that's my little smirk. You put a lot of pressure on this A player because you could fight this line, you can pivot if you want and fight ramps. Look at it now. They've gone and changed it. Now I would just be floating and I would fall in midair. I can't peek the site. I can TP over here. I can lurk this area if I wanted to, but I can't really capitalize on the spot. It's more to control the space. So in like post plants, if you want to hide up here and hold the ramp for rotates into the site, that is viable. But I used to be up here in post plants holding the jump down from rafters. That is no longer an option. It's cleaned up a lot, which will help a lot of these fluky deaths for the A players. It'll stop a lot of frustration for the A players. This is the one, I think, defender-sided change throughout all of these so far, but it's also one that helps the map design overall. So now we're going all the way over to B side. Straight off the bat, we're looking at hell. This is the old version of hell. And something you used to be able to do was you would stand in this corner and you would be able to take fights towards heaven. And once you realize you were safe from that fight, you can then be like, oh, okay, they're out B main. Now I can peek B main. And now I just, I'll just nest here. I'll stay here forever because nothing can flush me out other than like a breach aftershock or race paint shells. And there's usually just better options for those pieces of utility. There's a lot of corners on this map. Before, you can kind of nest here. You could hide. There was a lot of multi-frag potential playing hell or playing heaven and then dropping hell and using this as your second position. Whereas now what you can see has happened, they've made the wall slanted. Although I think you can completely hide from someone pillar, if you step out even one step, this person pillar can see you. Going into B heaven now. So before they had all this trash here and they removed this, which again creates a lot of that up down variance, right? You come through here and you don't know if there's a guy close box, top here, in some off angle here, top rafters here. There's all these elevations you need to worry about already. The last thing you want to do is worry about this or someone hiding here with like a judge and then just like jumping up and being like super annoying. It's just lame. And it also created this weird environment where the rotates would come in post plants and they would then jump up on this box. They would stand here. Sometimes they'd be able to see over heaven smokes in cheeky ways where they jump spot and stuff. And it also made things difficult for your lurk coming through mail on attack. Just cleaned up a lot of that. Again, only positives. Literally only positives from these changes. This change breaks my heart a little bit. Probably one of the only changes that I dislike, right? There are some like complications with these boxes, a little bit of quirkiness going on. So they just added a little platform on top. You can silent drop on top of the platform and then onto mid if you wanted to, but obviously there's a ramp anyway. They removed the little ledge though, which is my main gripe. I'm a huge fan of like the little skill jumps in this game, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the Tens video from a long time ago, and a lot of people doing this on the old version of Split, where you would, you'd use the crouch glitch and jump up on this box, and that allowed you to get past poorly placed sage walls, which raises the skill ceiling, right? It makes sages know that this sage wall that goes across like this is no good because good players jump up on the box. And if my team were to do like an A exec, I hear people rotating and I can jump over this wall, and the enemy team typically isn't aware of it because there's a lot of noise going down. That is no longer the case. And the way you deal with that in the past obviously is just sage wall in front of the box on a little bit of a diagonal. Now you don't even have to worry about that at all because that railing has been eliminated. I think they might have done that because it created a little bit of variance again with just moving up and down over this tiny little lip. It's kind of annoying. Your crosshairs bobbing up and down. Created like places for things to get stuck in. Say like you threw paint shells. It could get like stuck in a lip if it landed funny. Weird stuff like that could happen in this zone. And I think that's a key reason why they did this. That's it for the images. Let's hop in game right now and check out some of these changes. This is coming out of spawn right now. And you can see this is that elevation change I was talking about. We're peeking into ramp. We could peek high, low. And this is actually what we did in the very first round of our 10 min, and it worked pretty well. Entering the A site, you can see like I just have so much room to work with now. Like I could peek so many different like little angles. This used to be flat, so when people would peek screens, a common thing that you would see a lot of back in the day is smokes here and someone peeing this wall and just spamming down the wall, down this left lane. The reason you would do that is because people would come through this left in order to clear the high low like all the time. Whereas now, if someone were to spam, you can quickly take cover. You're a little bit more advanced. You're safe from ramps. It creates a place where you can be safe. Whereas before, what would happen is someone spamming from back there. You are stuck like right here and you're open to this swing. The whole situation is very uncomfortable for you. So now when you come out, you don't have to look up. You only have to look down. You can drop in. When you do drop in, you don't have to worry about someone seeing your head over this box right here. And in post plants, you can angle off like this for elbow. You can kind of pivot, hold heaven if it's smoked, and you can take swings towards screens. This is a massive change to the A site and how it's going to play out. These are your A heaven changes. And again, this is my favorite change because I can't tell you how many times I peeked this angle before I learned that your crosshair placement, it's like so counterintuitive because there could be someone right here. And this is very common, like to have someone here. I mean, think about the plays that we've seen in Split in the past where you have the Omen paranoia coming from sewers, right? And then, maybe like a breach fault line as well. You have the raised double satcheling up, or say like an Astra grav well here or something like that, you would see people come up here and they would just be like, I don't know where to put my crosshair. I saw shit when I was coaching on Thieves, like oppers on top of this box off spawn. I saw people get stunned and come here. I've seen people play in, you know, this old little thing off barriers. And again, like you have no clue where to put your crosshair. Whereas at least now everything is in front of you, right? You can peek this and then immediately you're at headshot height. You're just moving around headshot height. You don't have to worry about someone swinging you from Goblin Town down here, just in the floor. Now everything is up high, elevated, and it's nice. And you also don't have to worry about the person peeking you from top of this box. It creates a really good jump spot angle too. That's a really cool dynamic. The reason why this jump spot's so powerful is because you're jumping behind a wall that's likely not going to get spammed. I did want to show one more thing. Another thing this A change will do is it will open things up for the old school Viper walls that we used to see a lot of. We used to see the walls that would, you know, cut across A like this. Then you would see like an orb by ramps. The Vipers would control this area. And you can see now the Vipers have like a little area to hide in. When their shit drops, they don't have to be like in the open holding these angles. They don't have to be fully tucked there. They don't have to fully commit to the ramp fight. They could just tuck in for the second cycle and wait. And this gives a lot more options to this attacker. And the same thing goes if you're playing Cypher, because this is the other thing you would see a lot of by this A site. You would see a lot of Cypher cages here, a Cypher cage there, and just kind of like alternating popping them, because if you peek ramp, you don't know if the guy is going up main, and if you peek main, you don't know if the guy's going up ramps. So Cyphers would put a lot of pressure, just like how this Viper setup does over at the A site. Also, over here, you can see it helps you a lot with people spamming through. Before, people could just rail through this because there's so many different elevation changes and places they could be, whereas now this wall will really have a lot of success. Viper's strengths increased a lot with some of these angles that were eliminated. God, that change is so good. Here are those changes in mid. Nothing too crazy. Just got rid of like the lip right here. Can't make this skill jump anymore. Probably just did it to stop all of the collisions from paint shells and stuff like that. Looking at our B Heaven change, you can see this box was removed. And again, something you would see a lot of is people coming up top here on retakes, just teeing off on people, and they all rotate through Heaven. You would typically have like lurks coming in through male, and your lurks would be like holding some weird off angle over here or just full hiding, and you would have someone hell kind of supporting you, or if they had like any kind of movement ability like a raise or an omen, they could get onto rafters and they would pinch with you. And before, being able to get on top of this created like weird environments that favored the defense. I love how the devs thought this through. I feel like they really put a lot of thought into what they changed on this map. They didn't just throw it all in the bin, because I think the map is great. I love Split as a map. This is such a cool change to Heaven. I'm excited to see how this change really affects how I take Heaven. So here's this corner, and I'm going to show you with a turret right now what it would look like if I were to come out main. You can see I can't see my turret if I'm just, you know, tucked really tight, but if I just take like one step forward, I can begin to see my turret. If my turret isn't directly in the corner, if it's a little bit off, it's way out, right? It's not even like it's barely out now, but it's not really far off of this corner. So when you're coming Heaven and your teammates are out B main, you no longer have to worry about someone in like these weird angles, like right here. Your crosshair can just kind of gravitate towards this corner, and once it's clear, you're fine. Whereas before, you had to go through hell and back to clear this corner while also not dying to like this, because what would happen is you would come out, you would try to clear all this, there'd be people in sight killing you, there'd be people in weird angles like this. It was very, very hard to deal with. So they cleaned that up a little bit by making this rounded. Anyway, guys, that's it for the split changes. I hope you guys like it. This map is going to be sick. I'm really happy for it to be back in the pool because it's another map that I think Omen can play in, and those are rare these days. Be sure to like and subscribe to the video. I got more stuff coming out soon. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.